Everybody. So, welcome to this introduction of my family deck. Yeah. So, for the family readings that I did, this is the deck that I used, this is the deck that I made, and I just felt like I should introduce the deck in its entirety. So, that's what we're here to do today. Okay. So, in no particular order, we're just gonna go through the deck one by one. Let's let God decide how the cards get aligned. One more time. All right. So we got separation. Everybody knows what separation is. That's like when people depart. We got guide them, don't control them, because I find that that's a big problem that we have within families. Instead of guiding the children, parents tend to control the children, make them into who they think the children should be, not realizing that children come with their own sense of being and it is naturally expressed from a young age. What parents are supposed to do is recognize that in their child and recognize it as natural talent and therefore help to guide that child to be the best version of themselves when it comes to what their natural gifts are, because that's where they're going to be brilliant. So imagine if you have a skill and you've been doing it since you're a baby, by the time you're 12 you're supposed to be a master, and you're doing it because it's something that naturally calls out to you, something that you actually love to do. So when you love to do something, you put in extra time doing it, you don't mind because it's something that you love to do. But parents tend to throw their children off of their own purpose and their own life's course by trying to make them into doctors and lawyers and things that they feel that society look at as prestigious. Okay? Unfortunately, that's how parents have been programmed. So, yeah, that's why I had to make that card. It's like guide them, don't control them. Okay? So, yeah, then we have poor parenting. So, yeah, controlling your children is a form of poor parenting. So, obviously, I had to make a poor parenting card because so many people are guilty of poor parenting. And sometimes it's not deliberate, sometimes it's just because they don't know any better. Okay? I was eating porridge with a whole bunch of nuts just now. So, sorry. Then we got apologize. I apologize. Yeah, we got apologize. So that's something that can put a lot of fires out. Apologizing and accepting and acknowledging where we go wrong as children to our parents and as parents to our children, family member to family member, I mean, just society at large. Apologizing and acknowledging our faults or blame in a situation can work wonders in putting fires out that could burst out of control. It's like some families are at war for generations and generations because of something that somebody's great great grandfather did to their great great grandfather. Well, somebody's great great grandfather did to somebody else's great great grandfather, for example, or somebody's great great grandmother did to their great to somebody else's great great grandmother, and then like generations after, the children are still hating each other and fighting against each other, not even having a clue why. It's just they grew up seeing their daddy hating this one's daddy, and or their mommy hating this one's mommy, and yeah, apologizing is magical. We got abandonment, because so many people suffer from abandonment in family. When we cannot resolve issues, we tend to just abandon each other. Some people, they just feel like they're not good enough at parenting, or they feel like they cannot handle the challenge that's before them, so they tend to abandon their children. And I feel like it could be a harsh thing to say, but abandoning your child if you feel like you cannot be a good parent is the more responsible thing to do than to keep them with you and be ill-treating them and subjecting them to all kind of unfavorable conditions, like taking them to drug houses or being drunk and not being able to take care of them, or shit like that, or giving them alcohol to knock them out so that you can go out to party and shit like that. If you can't take care of your child, send your child off with a prayer. Pray over your child and put your child in the hands of the universe. Give your child to somebody who will take the time to guide that child and care for that child in the right way. So then we got schooling. So that's all about education, because education could be actual education in the society or just the lessons that we learn within the family. Okay. And we got generational curse. So generational curse is those practices and those ways that trickle down through the generations from great grand to great grand, the mathematics, and come right down to we ourselves. So this could be like how we cook, how we speak to each other, how we treat our men, how we treat our women, how we treat other people in society that we consider to be less than us, or how we treat other people in society that we consider to be better than us. They're all generational causes. So these are the things that we do that sabotage our own selves and our own family, shit like that, right? And we have family day or night. I love this one because this talks about the togetherness of family. So it's like with the busy lives that we all have, it's good to encourage a time where you can meet up with your family, not just on Christmas, not just for birthdays, not just, it's good to keep in touch with your family and make those moments count. Know how to not be too pushy but not be too distant from your family either. Everybody needs to feel like they are valued, because that's one of the things that take our elderly out, is feeling abandoned, feeling like nobody sees my value anymore because I'm quote unquote old. That is a terrible philosophy that society has taught us to live by. Listen, our elderly, they're the one with the freaking experience. They're the ones who can teach us where the pits are before we ourselves fall in that shit. So we need to recognize each generation for what they're good for. The elderly need to respect the younger generation for the fact that they know how to use computers, so they know how to connect to the outer world. And if the youngers can get with the elders and let the elders teach, make up their own YouTube channel and shit and share their wisdom, so not only their grandchildren can benefit from them, but even the world at large can benefit. And sometimes we take for granted the exceptionality of the people that we have around us, because it's just my uncle, it's just my aunt, it's just my son, it's just my... But to the rest of the world, it's like, this person is freaking wise, this person is brilliant, the rest of the world would revere this person, but because we who are close to them see their faults and stuff like that, it tends to block us from seeing what is exceptional about them. So we need to close that gap, okay? So we got agree to disagree now. There's another way to quell all these fights and whatnot. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna change, I'm not gonna change, so let's just let this shit go, okay, before it gets way out of control. All right, let's just respect each other's opinions and move on. Okay. We got investment. So investment comes in many different ways. Investment could talk about how a parent look after their child, and so they do have some right as to how this child choose to steer their life. At least they have the right to air their opinion, okay? What I feel like they should stop the buck at is trying to force this child to do what they think is best, even if they are right. Because sometimes if your child makes that mistake for themselves, they will learn that lesson that you were trying to teach them, and they will never ever forget. But when you're trying to prevent them from making mistakes and they don't make the mistake, that curiosity is always there. And if things don't turn out quote unquote right in their eyes because of following your example, then they might be blaming you and stuff like that. Sometimes it's better to allow people, after you warn them, don't go any further because there's a cliff ahead, and they want to fight against you, let them fall over the cliff. Just pray for them. And let God take care of them so that when they fall, they drop in a respectful way, that they don't mash up themselves too much. And so that way, you can then help them pick up the pieces. But you know what you will have accomplished? They will have lived their truth and they will never forget that lesson. And then they will learn to have more faith in your judgment going forward, because they will look back and see that, yeah, you did try to warn me and it was my stubbornness that got me into this. So sometimes it's good to allow them to, you know when to invest in your child and know when to pull back. Okay. And you can go in business and all these things too. And children invest in their parents by respecting their parents, spending time with them, helping around the house, as a thank you and shit like that. And some children actually support their parents and all this stuff. So then the child must have a right to have an opinion about what takes place in the parents' life and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And just for the sake of loving each other, you should give one the right to have an opinion as to how things go in said person's life. I didn't feel like putting on no pants today. So we got secret society or club. Now this could be a good secret society or club, but most of the time people build bad ones because it's like a crime network that people feel they need to be a part of in order to survive in society. This is usually, the bad ones are built by people who lack ambition, first of all, people who lack self-confidence and shit like that. Because if you have the confidence that you could be a boss, if you have the confidence that you have skills, okay, marketable skills, you wouldn't opt to be a freaking con artist or a gangster or none of them shit there, because you always have the law on your ass. It's not a comfortable life. So these are usually built by people who have low self-esteem, okay, and a low opinion of themselves generally, that they feel like it's only crime and cheating other people that they can do to be successful or to provide for their family and shit like that. That's fuckery. Okay. So yeah, most of them are built on bad, but there are some that's built on good, where you actually get together and you know, like even the where they put money in every week, and then at the end of the month one person gets that. I think it's called potluck or something like that. In my country, they call it box hand, shit like that. That's like a secret society or club, but it's a positive one. You understand? So we can use these things for evil, or we could use them for good. Most people tend to use them for evil, unfortunately. But that's the reason why I made that card. So now we got rules. Because without rules, we're going to have utter chaos. Okay? That's quite simple. We got childcare. That speaks for itself. It could either be good childcare or bad childcare. Then we got faith. And I put the faith card in here because sometimes that's what you need. Because in all things, no matter where we go, we have to keep God in the equation, or else we'll be hopeless. Because we cannot do everything ourselves. Especially when we have a whole group of people banding together to fight against one person. You could feel outnumbered, but with God on your side, with faith on your side, it doesn't matter if it's 10,000 of them against you alone. You'll be a mystery to them, because you'll be a victor or Victoria. That should be a female one with the victory. You get what the hell I'm saying? So then we got freedom. Who doesn't love freedom? But unfortunately, so many people do not have freedom. Because if it's not your parents that's got their thumb on you and their foot on your neck trying to make you be who they want you to be, then it's these secret societies who are trying to hold you down by using your parents or your family or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or shit like that. And that's usually done to people who show great potential to be exceptional. That usually happens to the stars. Okay? They create a life of torment for you to break you down spiritually and morally, and then they come in like they are such a support system for you, when really and truly they're just trying to get you to have faith in them so you can then become one of their subjects. So there's no freedom. Most people don't enjoy freedom. So it was important for me to write freedom in the deck. We got immaturity. That speaks for itself. So many people are guilty of being immature, some deliberate and some not. Then we have maturity. So this is the day that we all hope for every fucking body. Because when you're mature, you don't find yourself having to commit crime in order to survive. When you're mature, you know that you have brilliance within you. You know that with dedication and hard work and stuff like that, that you can be somebody too. When you're mature, you know that the world fight against winners. And when you're mature, you don't allow that to deter you. You keep pushing forward anyway, and you keep God on your side so that you can defy the odds. That's what life is about. Life is about defying the odds with God, not in wickedness. In wickedness, you lose because eventually that shit run out. But when you defy the gods with the odds with God, that win is everlasting. Because you don't have to look over your back. You don't have to look over your shoulder. There's nobody's son or daughter or grandson or granddaughter who's going to hear the story of how you violated their people and plot revenge. Because when we wrong people, it connects to so many different compartments of people's lives. You may steal money from somebody thinking that, oh yeah, they'll get it back, the insurance will cover it, but you don't know the kind of arguments that it caused between a mother and a father, or a mother and a son, or family members, shit like that. So it's like somebody else may be getting blamed for it and stuff like that, and it's because of something else that somebody did. But yeah, there's so much shit that go on. We got inheritance. Well, that's clear. Because you can inherit money, you can inherit property, you can actually inherit people's diseases as well. You can inherit people's personality traits and shit like that too. So inheritance definitely had to make it into the deck. Then we have the favorite. Well, every family, whether they want to admit it or not, has a favorite child. Every family has a favorite child. Now, the reason for this child being your favorite may be good, some of it may be bad. But every family got a favorite child. Let's just keep the shit real. Okay? Yeah. Your parents had a favorite child. And you have your favorite child. For whatever reason. Get over it. And we have arguing. Well, there's a famous one that takes place within families. And we have a wedding. Because the wedding, it very much matters when it comes to family, because when you marry somebody, you don't just marry that person. You marry their mother, their father. You marry their bank account. You marry their karma. You marry their children. Everything that is about them becomes yours. And that's why it's necessary for us to know who the hell we're getting involved with. We take dating and we take getting boyfriends and girlfriends and husbands and wives too lightly. Experience has taught me that there needs to be a very long, very deep investigation before we even sexually engage with somebody. It would behoove us to start putting that shit into practice. Because when the version of people that we see on the surface, 99.9% of the times is not the person. People put their best self out there for the world to see. 99.9% of the time. Know who you're marrying, because you're not just marrying this person. You're marrying their DNA, you're marrying their mother, their father, their sister, their mistakes of the past, their reputation of the past, who the fuck they're about to become, all of that. And we got divorce. And unfortunately, some people don't believe in divorce. I've seen so many stories of people killing their partner just because they don't want to get divorced. And that's another reason why you need to be very careful when it comes to weddings. That's some crazy shit. But I feel that as a law, it's a very intricate problem to navigate, because there's so many factors to consider, because I don't know why people would marry people and divorce them just so they could get an alimony check. I don't understand how you can meet me with my millions, you marry me today, divorce me next year, and you're entitled to half of my earnings. So this society, the laws of this society, if I got that shit right, if that's how the laws are set up, then the law itself is making criminals, because what I have before you came into my life has nothing to do with you. You didn't help me work for that. Why should you get half of it? That's some bullshit. And that's why so many people pretend to love somebody. And that's the reason why love is so scarce too, because it's like people don't see what they can benefit from life when they give love. Because a lot of the times the other person is not giving love. And then they get used instead of the other person get used. So yeah, it's a very tricky situation. But I feel that if that's how the law is set up, it's either people have to be smart enough to write contracts before they get into these marriages, so that when they divorce, they can be left whole, or at least 90% whole. I feel that people should be left 90% whole. If you didn't help me make my millions, you should not be entitled to it. And what's this shit about when you're a superstar, yeah? How can you be getting like $100,000 to keep for the upkeep of your life? What is that about? It's because of how they've inflated their importance and inflated their status. Like, if you're not my husband or my wife anymore, you need to go live the life that you can afford to live. I shouldn't be the one to be sustaining your life. But that's just one side of the coin. Like I said, there's so many pieces to this kind of puzzle. And these damn children too. Imagine you're giving your child £100,000 or $100,000 a month, and they're saying that it's not enough. Seriously? You know how many people work for a whole year and their yearly income is like 1/4 of that, 25,000, 30,000 per year, and they think that they do so much with it. If you're lucky, you get 50,000 a year, and you'll get 100,000 per month, and you want to tell your parent that that's not enough? Anywho, that's off the topic a little bit. So we got classism. That's the next one. So classism is that ugly human trait of feeling like you're better than somebody else. That ugly philosophy of deciding one's importance based on some dumb ass shit, like how much money they got, or how pretty they are, or how handsome they are, or what name brands they wear, or if they have a car or not, or if they have their own house or not, or if they're living with their mother or not, and shit like that. That's all classism. And it's stupid to define somebody's importance and value based on them stupid ass reasons. Because life goes up and life goes down. If you meet somebody at the time and they're living in their mother's house, it doesn't mean that that person is a loser. You need to do your investigation and make sure first. Or else the truth of the matter is you're the fucking loser for even thinking that they're a loser in the first place. Because you're just a shallow little shit. It's stupid. So then we have adoption. So adoption could be relating to people, children, you know, taking on people as your family. You know, when people say brother from another mother and things like that. Or actually adoption, where people give up their children for one reason or the other, and somebody else decide, you know what, I'm going to take care of this child. Sometimes it's a good ride, sometimes it's a horrible experience. And that's why I say, if you're going to choose to put your child up for adoption, pray over them first. Ask God to take care of the child first. Don't just dump the child. Whether you love the child or not, whether you're in a happy place of your life or not, whether you're scared or not, pray over that child before you abandon that child. Why? Because the mere fact that you've put that good energy out into the world, my dear, it opens up the door for you to then receive that good energy in due season. It's necessary and it's right. If you can't take care of it, then fine. But when you're going to put that child out there, do it properly. It's just like people who kill meat. There's a right way to kill animals to eat them. They need to be killed in a humane way. It creates good energy. I think that's what halal is, or that's what it's supposed to be. It's where you include the Most High. You talk to God and you ask God to bless this meat, because it's meant for nutrition for you and your family. It's like a sacrifice. Real talk. So prayer definitely is necessary. So here's a touchy subject. We got the molestation, which so many people have been victims of, girls and boys. From generation to generation, way back, so many people have their own stories over maybe an uncle or an auntie or a mother or a father or a brother or a close family friend or something like that, somebody like that, or a babysitter or some shit that has violated them sexually. So I had to add it in. I had to add it in there because this is one of the reasons why so many people are broken. It's because of holding on to the anger and the trauma that occurred to them when they were young. And a lot of people tend to tell their parents, but they get ignored. That is heartbreaking. So I had to add it in there so that we can address such situations, so that God can address it and let us know what's going on behind the scenes. The Aries and the Taurus reading, in their reading, the Aries, their molester, they were both about molestation. The Aries molester actually was taught by somebody else to be that way, and they didn't know any better. So just by somebody else teaching them to do this bad thing, they did it to the Aries, and then Aries had to live with that trauma. But now that the offender is older, they see the error of their ways, and now they're trying to make atonement with God. Taurus one also did the same thing. So Taurus one learned to be that way by somebody else. They're learning how to be a better person. They're seeing the error of their ways. But they also, I feel, want to communicate to Taurus. And that could be a very hard conversation to have. Imagine having to sit down and talk to the person who violated you and make you carry around that pain and that insecurity and that just disappointment, for so many years. That shit is hard. Okay? And it could be potentially dangerous for the offender, because are you gonna meet an angry tiger when you go there? I mean, it wouldn't be wrong if you do, but we let God do the talking, because we humans, we kind of, that's why I let God do the talking, okay? Because we be moving off of our emotions and shit, and the truth is these people are trying to make their lives better. But anyway, we got insurance. So insurance is basically a safety net. It could be talking about actual insurance, or it could be talking about the fact that somebody is protected in some way. Okay, so that's why I added it into the deck. And we got misguided, because there's a lot of that going on. Hence the Aries reading, where that person was misguided. Basically, they learned how to be a molester from somebody else, and that's not good teaching. That's the type of teaching that sends your ass to hell. That's the type of teaching that will take you to your death, possibly, depending on who you choose to offend. Because everybody's not cool the same with certain things. Everybody's tolerance is not the same. So that misguidance could have caused their own death. Because in my own experience, I slept with a knife under my pillow, and that he never did it again. But it's like he knew that I slept with a knife under his pillow, because I was ready to go for. Okay, anywho, we got communication. So this is very necessary in family and stuff like that. So that's why I added that card into the deck. Because what can we accomplish without communication? And truthful communication as well. Some communication is truthful and some is dishonest, okay? So we need that card so that God can show us when the shit is being, when it's a lie and when it's the truth. So we got prejudice. So prejudice is just the act of being mean and unfair to somebody. It's not really about race, it's not about class and all that, but it's just being unfair. So we had to add prejudice in there, because some people, they're unfair to people because of their own insecurities and shit like that. So Yeah, prejudice made it into the deck. And prayer works. This is definitely, I think I will add prayer works into all my decks because prayer does actually work. And there is no limit of how many times you can pray and ask God to come in and take over the situation, or ask for guidance and clarity or things like that. And people need to remember that prayer works. Even people who have never tried to pray, they need to hear it so that they could even give it a try, so they could see what's gonna actually occur because they prayed. And then that helps people to build their relationship with the Most High, or the universe, or their guardian angels, or their ancestors, or whatever people believe in, no matter what religion you are. Okay, people need to actually give it a try. Okay, so we got generational programming. Now here's a big problem again, because it's just like we tend to do the same things over and over, because it's like for generations we've had certain practices that our family has engaged in, and without even teaching us, sometimes we just learn them things. Just like some people that are racist, they come down through the generations, and without even teaching your child to be a racist, for example, they end up adopting those traits because that's what they see. And racism could be black towards white, white towards black. Either way, it's still wrong, because even though, my opinion is, even though the black people were wronged, it's not okay to teach your children to hate this generation of white people. The hate should go to who deserve hate. Don't just hate somebody for their skin color, else what makes you different to those who hated your foreparents just because of their skin tone. Don't perpetuate the nonsense. This is the generation where we stop all these generational programming and generational curse and shit like that. We need to pave the way now for some generational blessings, okay? So we got child or children. That's obvious why it's needed in a family deck. When we got childbirth, that's obvious too. We got miracle. Oh yeah, well, miracle is doing the impossible. So miracle had to make it into this deck because sometimes you just don't know, sometimes you just don't believe, but if you would choose to have faith, then you open the door for miracles. So that's definitely defying the odds. Okay, so miracles, people need to remember that miracles are possible. You don't need to see how, you don't need to know how God can come through for you. All you need to do is trust that it can happen and watch it manifest. So then it will even develop your relationship with God even more, because that's one of the ways that God tend to make us be more certain of its presence and its power. It's by coming through for us. Okay, and sometimes when God doesn't come through for you, it's because God is testing you. So the same way you're gonna test God, God tests you too, naturally. It's like, how are we gonna go forward in this relationship, like, you know? So anyway, oh, we got foolishness of our youth. Now, how many people have a testimony about that? I would imagine every fucking body, okay? We all tend to put our foot in the wrong place before we learn, yeah, let's not do that ever again, okay? That is not the correct way. Yeah, so that kind of speaks for itself. Then we got I didn't know better. And this is a lot of people's problems, because until you know, you simply don't know. And if somebody's teaching you to be a certain way, how do you know the difference if you've never seen a different way to be, if you don't know the consequences of your actions and shit like that? And so many people are being programmed by family members and close family friends and fucking TV and the radio and all these things to be a certain way, and we just choose what sounds good to us, not really taking time to analyze, because we just don't do that, you know what I'm saying? And when you don't know, you just don't know. And until you know better, you simply didn't know any better. So we got listening. There's an obvious one. Excuse me, that one, they speak for itself. Okay. And an important thing to mention about the listening card is sometimes people are having a conversation with someone, and instead of actually hearing what the person is saying, they're just waiting for that break for them to give their opinion. And then by the time they've given them their opinion, they didn't hear one thing that the person said, because they're not trying to have a reasoning. experience, or they're not trying to have a communicative or progressive experience. They just want to give their opinions, because sometimes we have our opinions about things and it's like nothing that you can say could change my mind, but I want you to listen to me. But then they don't want to listen to you. So I brought that up because a lot of that goes on. Now we have generational blessing. Yeah, this is what we're after now. So this generation itself, I can see the difference in just this generation. Although things are so crazy over here in these parts of the world. I'm in England. I'm talking about America and shit like that. The moral standards, they appear to be dropping, but that's what they want us to think. But the truth of the matter is a lot of people are becoming a lot more wise, a lot more mature. A lot of people are questioning more. A lot of people are doing more research and shit like that than they would have us believe. So never doubt that things are actually getting better, because that's how the enemy of progress will do to win. Because once they make you feel defeated in your mind, then they got you. So just know that this generation is different. The youth are more mature or wise than we suspect they are, because we the adults are getting even more mature and wise as well. We're asking questions and they're getting little tidbits in their ear, and then that's making them question things, and that's how wisdom grows, and that's how the generational blessings start flowing, because we're changing the way that we structure our lives and our interactions with each other and life in general. Okay. And we got the black sheep. So, to me, black sheep are simply the chosen ones. If you're the black sheep of your family, it's because you are the most special in your family. If you're the black sheep of your family, your life is hard by design. Because the enemies of progress that I was speaking about, those unseen people, the secret society, the major secret society, all they do is pay attention to the signs to know when a star is born. They pay attention because we are their opposition. We are the ones who can topple their evil, the evil society, or the evil, what's the word that I'm trying to use here? The evil empire that they are building, because what they want is not to see people being loving. They don't want to see families getting along together. They don't want to see any and anybody becoming millionaires and whatnot. Their only job is to keep an eye out to see who has the potential to change the world in a positive way, and who has the potential to change their own life in a positive way, and put as many obstacles in that person's way as possible. And usually they use your own mother, your own father, your own sister, your own brother, your own boyfriend, your own girlfriend, your own clients or customers. They use anything and everything around you that they can use against you, to break you down, to discourage you, to make you fear. So if you're the black sheep, it's because you're destined to be powerful. You are destined to be a blessing to the world, and they can't let that happen. So what they usually do is like they'll intimidate your parents or your family or whatnot, and it's like, for them it's like, what are you gonna do? Are you willing to lose your income, or are you willing to lose your oldest child because they'll threaten to like kill your children, or fuck up your money, or make you get fired from your job and things like that. And as opposed to helping you, the black sheep, and investing in you who are destined to be great, 99% of the time they choose to just let you go and let the wolves have you. So then they become the enemy too. They choose to help the enemy to try and break you down, not knowing that they're picking the losing team. But because you're by yourself as the black sheep, they think that you're naturally outnumbered and therefore you're not going to be the victor. But that's not how God designed it. So even if God has to bring you back to life like Lazarus, God will do that. Even if God has to stop the sun in the sky so that you have enough daylight so you can see to fight your enemy, like we're in the situation with Joshua and the promised land, I feel God will do that. Even if God have to lift up the waters so you can travel across the sea, the sea bottom to get to where you're going to, and allow your pursuers to follow you and make the water come crashing on them, as in the story of Moses. God will do that for you, black sheep. That's how special you are. That's how powerful you are. But a lot of us, we give up too early because there's so much coming to us, so much negativity coming at all directions. We slip into that nobody loves me, and I miss my family, and how come I don't have no money, and they say I'm ugly, and my teeth are they're destroying my beauty, look at my skin. All these things they throw in your way to discourage you, to break your confidence down, so that you take on a defeatist mentality. That's why the black sheep card was brought into this deck. So we have disagreement. Well, that one is clear in itself. Okay. And we have illness. So this could talk about mental or physical illness. Okay. Also, all those terrible generational programming that are working against us, those are illnesses too. This one is true confession, or a confession that is a lie. So that's the reason why this card made it into here, because it's like, if somebody is actually telling us something that is true, then I want the card to come out so that we know what go on. And we got stubbornness of the elders. Now there's a popular one. So some of our elders, they've been programmed or living the way that they have lived and believe the way that they have believed for so long, that even if they see things are changing around them, even if they have a little glimpse of the fact that the way that they are is not serving their best interest, they are too stubborn to change. And that's largely because they've been taught to believe that this is the end of their life. So then they take on an attitude of, I don't really care, what does it matter anyway, I'm too old to change now, and all that thing, which that in itself is a lie as well. And if you've been on this channel for a long time, you've heard me talk about how age is just a number, and really and truly it's how you care for yourself. So this teaching that they gave us about we can only live till we're 80 or 90 years old and then we die, or we die of old age and shit, all of that is lies. You will have heard me say that retirement is the worst thing that somebody can do, because it then makes you feel useless. It takes away your purpose. You don't get any exercise, and that's what kills you. So it's good to keep yourself moving, but at the age of retirement, that's when a person's supposed to be starting their own business so they can make their own hours, make their own money. So while you're working for someone for them 65 years or however long you're working for them for, you need to be accumulating monies to start your own thing at the end of your journey out in the world. You need to be accumulating your skills so that you can then move on to creating a lucrative business for yourself. You got a lot of time. And while you're upgrading your skills, you could be making that steady income that comes with, what they call that thing? Pension and all them things. That's how you're supposed to play the game. But because they've taught us to believe that we only have a certain amount of time here on earth, people actually end up buying their burial spots and their outfit and all these things, preparing for death, giving up on life. It's a trick. Yeah, the passed away card. Yeah, they just give up on life when it's a trick of the devil. Because how come some people can live until they're 130 years old and other people can only make it to 90? And how come when people are 90, some people are so weak, and some people are 90 in the Caribbean still going to the farm to take care of their plants and take care of their animals? It's how you treat your body. If you smile more, your face won't look old. If you do exercise with your hands won't look old. If you do exercise with your feet won't look old. If you take care of your health when it comes to your food and your stress levels and stuff like that, then how are you gonna get old? What's gonna happen is you're gonna be looking so damn good that when you tell them you're 65, they're gonna say, no way! And you're supposed to smile to yourself like, yeah, that's how I like it. Okay? So there's a lot of deprogramming that we need to do. But anyway, so we got work. It's obvious. So work could actually be talking about somebody working on you to manipulate you, or it could actually talk about your job. We got child support. That's obvious. That could be monetary, or that could actually be giving them the emotional support, sharing the wisdom that they need with them and stuff like that. Child support is child support. It's not just money. All children need to be supported. So we got passing away. So that's based on somebody that's not gone yet, but they're on their way out. Okay. We got morals. Yeah. It talks about the moral compass, like how you see the world, what you determine to be right, what you determine to be wrong, and things like that. And we got addict. So addict could talk about addiction not just to drugs. It could be addiction to sex, addiction to food, addiction to always sticking up for a particular person, addiction to money, just addict, period. Addicted to putting your boyfriends over your family or your girlfriends over your family all the time. Or maybe your boyfriend could be addicted to you. Or your girlfriend could be addicted to you. And therefore they try to separate you from everybody else and anybody. So addict. It was a very necessary word to add to the list. And we got witchcraft. Well, that speaks for itself. Those are the naughty people. Hedonism. Now there's a special word. I heard that when I was making the deck. I was like, what is that? I didn't even know what it was when I made the deck, but when I saw what it meant, I was like, oh. So hedonism is the belief, or the philosophical belief, that one's own desires is the highest attainment in life, or the most important thing in life, or it's the whole purpose of life. So it's like the whole purpose of life is for me to satisfy my desires. That is hedonism. So no matter what other people think, no matter if I have to walk on somebody or whatever, I need to get what I want type of energy. That is hedonism. And if you were calculating the mathematics in your mind, you could see how that could be destructive. If everybody chose to practice hedonism, there would be a lot of chaos, because nobody really would want to sacrifice their own desires for another. It's like, why should I put you above me? You see, so hedonism, that can't be it. But a lot of people, they tend to believe that it is it, because people love to satisfy their desires. It's as simple as that. So it's like they want it to be true so much that they just accept it as true. Okay. So now we got betrayal. Well, betrayal speaks for itself. It's somebody being dishonest. Okay. That's what betrayal is all about. Somebody doing you wrong. We got competition. That's a lot of that in the family. So a lot of times the younger children, for example, would compete for their parents' affection. Not the younger children, the older children would compete for the parents' affection, because usually when you got a household with like 2-3 children inside of it, the youngest one usually get the most attention, and the parent usually caters to the needs of the youngest one and completely neglect the older ones. Because I'm not saying that I'm not saying that the younger ones don't need the attention, but when you're gonna get involved in having 2 or 3 or 4 more children, you need to be able to allocate your time and your energy to all of them, so that you try to eliminate as much of the hatred and the resentment between the children as much as you can. Because a lot of siblings grow up hating each other because they see that the younger one, they probably get the best toys. But the thing is, the truth about parenting is that the more children you have, the better you get at it. So the first child, unfortunately, is the experiment. So they may not have as great of a childhood as the second, and the second and the first may not have as great of a childhood as the third, and shit like that. But people are not looking at it from each other's perspective. You see, people, especially children, they're not that wise to look at life from a perspective like that. And that's why it's important to speak to your children. It don't matter how young they are, talk to them. Let them start to get used to hearing words, so that by the time they're like 1 and 2, they'll be having conversations that 6-year-olds are having. You understand? So do not underestimate what your child can do and how much they can understand. Speak to your child. Let them know how you're feeling. Let them know what you're going through so that they can then learn to process their feelings and whatnot at a young age. But let me not go off. So yeah, competition is a big thing in families, okay? And that's only one example. We got pregnancy, that speaks for itself. We got sexism. Well, that is the philosophy of men are better than women or women are better than men. I'm not getting involved in that. We got, what's that? Funeral. Okay, well, we know what that is. And we got incest. Well, I was wondering about incest and how wrong or how right it actually is. And in one of the readings, it was the cancer reading, God was making it clear that incest is it's a generational curse. It is an illness and it's meant to be cut out. Because in that reading, I feel like it was a traditional thing for parents to do because they look after the child, because they provide for the child financially and the schooling and all of that. They feel like they have a right to the child in any way that they want to. And God was like, no. So now I know that incest is wrong, because although I've had my questions about it, it was from a scientific perspective. But from a spiritual perspective, I've always felt like, no, thank you. Like, yeah, you look good. If you were not my brother, yeah, I might love to get with a guy like you or get with you, but you are my fucking brother. So stay the fuck way over there when it comes to my personal space. You see me? I don't play that. That's how I've always felt in my spirit. But my scientific reasoning was, if you got a gene that's powerful and you make a youth and that youth has a gene that's powerful, it's science that if you put those two people together, then it should make more of a powerful gene in that sense. But God says, no. Another thing I was realizing about incest, because I used to have this theory that everybody is family, because if everybody is of God, then that means that everybody's actually family, and in some respect that is so. But if we were genetically identical like that, then DNA, it wouldn't be a thing, because DNA separates families from family. DNA separates us by blood and traits and stuff like that. So the fact that DNA identification is a real thing, it shows that we are not all related like I used to think. And therefore, incest is not necessary. And according to God, it is not morally correct or spiritually correct. So, if the boss said no, I'm not going to challenge that. God know why it's saying no. I know too little about the subject for me to challenge that. And my spirit itself, and you know your spirit don't lead you wrong. So it's like, that's why I never doubted following my spirit on the subject. So, we got racism. Well, racism, a lot of the time, the racism card come out to me like people being in competition with each other. But sometimes it's actually talking about colorism. Yeah, exalting oneself based on one's skin tone. Whether you're black and you feel like black is better than white, or you're white and you feel like white is better than black, is still racism. So, we got traditional culture. Now, traditional culture speaks about what is the norm for a region. It's not just familial tradition now, it is a norm for a people. So that would include like your religion or stuff like that. Your religion, maybe the food, your national dish, or just the foods that you choose to eat, and the sports that you choose to do, just your traditional culture, the way that you guys choose to date, is something that's on a national scale. Okay. And we got religion. Well, that speaks for itself. That talks about the faith that one chooses to follow as far as their search for God and God's kingdom, or no religion. So we got custody. Well, custody is to be in charge of. So this could talk about children. This could talk about animals. This could talk about property. You know, just be in charge of. And we got physical fight. So that I wrote it to mean like actual hitting somebody, but it came out to me in one of the readings as like a verbal fight, because a verbal fight can be seen as a physical fight as well, because it's spoken words. It's not like, say, somebody's just hating you and evil eyeing you under their in their mind and shit like that. It's actually something that is put out into the open. It's a physical manifestation of this disagreement. So yeah, physical fight. So we got business. Now that card, it talks about something that you do for money. Okay, start to talk about your own business or family business, or business. It could be like your concern. Okay, and the last card we have is manipulative. Now that is so popular in families, because people tend to tell you what you want to hear, or make you believe what they need to make you believe, so that they can get you to behave a certain way or do a certain thing or not do a certain thing and whatnot. So being manipulative is simply trying to control another person's actions or thoughts, beliefs. Yeah. And that is the introduction to my family deck. All right, so it's all about healing, and I know there's more that I could have put in there, but I feel like this range of topics is a wide range of topics, so there's a lot of room for improvement, but at least it's a start in the effort to help us to heal each other, to use these oracle cards to heal our families and ourselves, heal from past trauma and stuff like that, because it's a time of healing right now. And so that's the reason why God is so supportive when it comes to the readings that I do, because God doesn't just highlight the ugliness. God gives solutions and understandings as to how to overcome, or God makes the rules plain, as in the Cancer one, where God said clearly that incest is wrong. It's a generational curse. Okay, the energy, it creates bad energy. So if you watched this whole video, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, this is our family healing deck, so expect to see this more on this channel. I'm sure it could be used in different areas too, but we'll see how God incorporates it into the readings, because right now it's all about the healing for us. We'd love to have great love lives and have great love readings, but the truth is the love readings are depressing. They hurt my feelings, they break my heart, because somebody's always cheating. Some baby mama always want to fight somebody because they don't want to let go the man, or the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend don't want to let go the girlfriend, and so he just act a fucking fool. Or somebody can't stay away from their ex, or somebody's abandoning their children and don't want the pregnancy. Somebody don't want to be a mother or a father. For me, I want shit that's gonna help me to progress in life, and that's why I do these type of readings. So only the brave, only those who truly want to grow is going to watch my channel and watch my readings, and that's absolutely fine with me. Whew. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to all the healing and the blessings, and yeah, let's do it like bosses around here. We're no weak heart. We gotta stay strong. And when we're not strong, you pray. Until next time, bye-bye.